In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. This is a celebratory episode as it's my number 200 for Marketing in the Age of AI. And as I've said before, podcasting is a powerful force, not just in the world, not just in business, but also in my life. It has changed the way that I've been able to interact with the world and meet amazing people and learn so much. So if you are not yet guesting on podcasts, or you're not yet hosting on podcasts, just hit pause on this right now and go get an account on Podmatch and get started, at least being a guest, because it will, as I think, also impact your life greatly. Episode number 200, and I have an amazing guest today, Kevin Palmieri, who is a global top 100 self-improvement podcast host with over 2,100 episodes and having reached over 1 million people. His brush with suicide propelled him into going all in on his dream of being a full-time podcaster and entrepreneur. And I am very honored to have you on the show, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I forgot. So you and I talked and you said this was going to be episode 200. I am privileged. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you for that special milestone.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing, right? In the podcasting world, you're like, I just want to get past 10. So I know that I'm not going to just be a statistic. And then, and then it just is, I think for me, at least, it just kind of picked up energy of its own. I've done as many as 10 episodes in 1 week. Yeah. And after that, I was like, whoa, we gotta tighten the calendar up a little bit, because as awesome as it is, it just gets intense. And you're performing in a way, and you're meeting people, and I have to be available, and it can be draining doing podcasts, and have to manage time.
Well, it's got to serve the purpose, right? At the end of the day, a podcast is just like anything else in business or personal. It has to serve the purpose, and if it's not serving the purpose, it's time to reevaluate.
Well, what was that purpose that you wanted it to serve in your life when you got started, Kevin?
Not what it serves today, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I was somebody who I had lived most of my life unconsciously. I didn't know why I was doing any of the things I was doing. I thought if I started a podcast that's all about becoming hyper conscious, maybe that'll do something. So in the beginning, I just wanted to have cool conversations with cool people. And I fell in love with it, much like I think you probably have. And when you fall in love with something, I think you tend to want to do it more. So yeah, I did not have grand aspirations of being where we are today. I just wanted to talk to cool people like you and see what happens.
Well, I think that's it's beautiful, and I guess maybe a little naive way to approach something, right?
I would say very naive, but also, would I have started if I knew how hard this was going to be? I don't know. So sometimes naivete might be valuable.
Yeah. Or maybe instead of naive, you just say like natural child, right? Like it was very childlike in a pure way.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted a way to support the books that I'd written and meet people, like you said, and like your list of people who you've talked to is amazing. And for me, it's the same, where I've talked to people all over the world who are doing outrageously cool things with AI and marketing, and it's people you never talk to otherwise. Right? I've had people from VPs from Intel on my show, right? I never have a second with them any other way.
Yeah, there's I think what the most common thing that I hear is people don't connect how indirectly the podcast can make your business successful. I've never made $1 based on a listen. We don't do ads. We don't do sponsorship. So I could get 1 billion listens tomorrow. It wouldn't change how much money we make. But I've gotten so many opportunities from guests or being on other podcasts. And I think that's a really important piece. Marketing in general is understanding that a lot of what you do is direct, but also a lot of what you do is indirect.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important understanding for podcasters is it might be very hard to track where things come from, but if they come to you and they would not have come without the podcast is probably creating that.
Yeah, well, you bring up a lot of interesting points in that. Number one, we know in marketing that that brand building and call to action type marketing need to be in a ratio of about 60% brand, 40% transactional. So that is spot on. And then, you're able to do either narrow podcasting, right, where you can invite your prospective clients on, or you can do just a big concept podcast and learn about things that are important for you and for the niche that you're in, and have that be brand building. So it's so flexible.
There's a ton of different direction, and some people do it because they want to just it is a piece of the business. Other people want to make that the majority of their business. I'll say this. If you're willing to work on the craft of speaking, the craft of interviewing, the craft of storytelling, there is so much opportunity for you out there. There is so much opportunity, but to your point, Emmanuel, if you stop at 10 episodes, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
If you stop at 100, still almost nothing is going to happen. So many of our opportunities came later on.
Right.
After 200, after 500, after 1,000. So there's something to be said about survivor bias. And then I think the other thing is, when I look back at episode number 100, it was garbage compared to where we are today. So there's something about that too, where when you do something long enough, you get really good at it. Hopefully that's the goal.
Yeah, right. It's right instruction, right practice, right outcomes. So I'm with you. It is interesting. So your space was self-help, health. Is that a good way to put it?
I would say in the beginning, it was more philosophy than I realized. And then now we've leaned way more into success through personal development, peak performance, that type of content. That's a big piece of it. And then eventually it got to the place where, I don't know, we were 300 episodes in, and people started asking me for podcast help.
Right.
So eventually I started a podcast about podcasting, and now we have multiple areas and multiple silos for the business. But yeah, personal development and podcasting are really the two places I dip my toe the most.
That's cool. I think it's interesting because now every problem I see, I see the solution as podcasting for my clients. But what you're saying, what triggered that for me was that after you do a couple hundred is when people start to recognize you. And I think it's even now, as much as ever, having that clear, authentic voice. People know that it's you creating it, because it's not just an AI bot writing it or speaking it. And so there's you're putting stakes in the ground, and then people know where you stand, and you either attract them or repel them based on where they're at in their development.
Yeah. And now, so this is something, if you and I had this conversation 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to say this. Somebody did a breakthrough session with me. So I do breakthrough sessions for podcasters. I want to add value. Cool. Showed up on my calendar. I had no idea who the person was. So we got on the call, and I said, "How did you find me?" And they said, "I ChatGPT'd who's the best person to help me with this problem, and you're the first person that came up." And I said, "Ooh, interesting."
Yeah.
That is the other benefit of having a podcast is, one, you have show notes where you can put in your areas of expertise every time. Two, with AI, you can easily transcribe it into keyword focused blogs, your social media. So yeah, if you are able to sit down and put out content every week, the internet is going to reward you as long as you're optimizing things after you do the episode. This part's great. Yeah. But what we do before this and what we do after this is just as important as this conversation.
Yeah, and I think it is, to me, we in the old days, we'd say the blog post was the hub, and all the rest of the things are the spokes and the content marketing. Now it's the podcast or the monologue is the hub, and from there you can spin out some. I mean, you've got 10 lifetimes of content marketing that you could do. I mean, I do,
Sure.
and I'm only at 10% on the road to what you are. So I think that's the other beautiful thing, that a CEO going on a podcast once a month as a guest will provide so much amazing content. Their marketing director will love that, because it is it's on brand, it's on voice, and it is immediately dispensable into the marketplace.
And it's humanizing.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between blog posts. Like, it's not humanizing. It's not warm. It's not inviting necessarily. But when you get to hear somebody's story, you connect with that story, and then you connect with that person. And then oftentimes you connect with the thing that they're doing. And I think that's a really big piece of it. If you're a service provider and or coach and or somebody who's trying to solve a problem, when you're guesting on other podcasts, you tend to see what questions you get asked the most and what answers land the most.
Right.
That's a really big piece of it. And then I think the last thing is you get really good at telling your story or the story of your company or whatever it is. And storytelling is a lost art. And there's a lot of opportunity if you're a powerful storyteller as well. So it all connects.
Yeah, and I would say even one step before that is this emotional intelligence to connect with people quickly. In this medium or in general that you don't know, and that is really one of the biggest things that where I benefited, is being able to build rapport quickly with people, and then being a listener.
I got a good hack. If you're somebody who wants to be a podcast guest or you're a podcast host, when the guest or host logs into the room, just sing a little bit. I do it almost every time.
Yeah.
It immediately creates a level of connection and like, oh, he's kind of weird. He's not super serious. I do it all the time. And now it's just like a natural thing. But because in the beginning I would be super nervous. And
sure. Yep.
I think that was my nervous tick. Now it's my productive tick.
That reminds me of Brendan Burchard and his dance moves before he would do every session, right?
Yeah. Have you ever been? Have you been in person?
Yeah, I
Nice.
went to one of his workshops. Yeah, it was energizing and inspirational.
Yes, I bet we've been to a couple. Back in the day, we went to Arizona and California. It was interesting for sure.
Well, what do you say to like that person who's guesting and thinking about podcasting? What do you what's kind of the short list of how you recommend they think about the next steps of becoming a host?
I would say make it as sustainable as humanly possible. So yes, in an ideal, optimal world, you'd be on YouTube and all of your content would get broken up into video clips for social media and all that stuff. You don't have to start there though. You don't have to start there. If you have an understanding of the problem that you're going to solve or the problem your podcast is going to solve, and then you can throw in some strategy of how you would like to make money eventually, I think that's a really good start. And honestly, even that second piece is new for me, because I think if you go into it expecting to make money, that's where it's dangerous. But I've worked with so many podcasters, Emmanuel, who start in one direction. They come to me and say, I'm not really interested in monetizing it. It's like, all right, cool. Keep doing what you're doing. And then they wake up one day and say, okay, now I want to make money. And then we have to rebrand the whole thing, because the way you started is not the way you're going to make money. So go in knowing exactly who you want to serve, how you want to serve them, and the problem that you want to solve, and then have an idea of what would make you money in terms of product, services, ad revenue. From there, you can always improve quality and stuff like that. I think too many people wait. And if you wait till the moment has passed, till the courage has passed, it's just going to be one of those things that you regret not doing. So yeah, make it as small as possible and just get started. Nobody listens at the beginning anyway.
No, but you're able to create some great content and promotion, right?
Yes. Yeah. But I think a lot of us overthink it. It's like, well, I got to have the perfect intro, the perfect outro, the perfect. No, because you can always, I mean, we've rebranded 3 times. We've changed our name. We've changed our artwork. We've changed our intro. You can change that stuff. So as long as you know who you're going to serve, get on there, just get the ball rolling like everything else.
Well, yeah, I agree. Ready, fire, aim. That's
Yes.
my motto for everything, right? You continually improve it, but yeah, don't just sit around and try to make it perfect. And I agree. I mean, I've the same thing. I've rebranded and I've created the next podcast, after that, and so it doesn't have to just be one. That's the
Right.
other magical thing.
Yeah. Yeah. If you love it, you can deploy it. I mean, again, you might have multiple blogs, you might have multiple social media platforms. Like, you can do as many podcasts as you want, as long as it's serving the purpose. The thing that I notice the most is usually, if you want to be an expert in your space, I think the best way to do that is to do solo episodes.
Mhm.
If you have a product, service, and you're good at sales, then you can have guests on. But what I have seen is it's really hard to get guests as clients, because there's some weird energetic thing of, you just lifted up the guest above yourself, and it's really hard to get that energy back. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen that work super well. I would say you're probably better off if you're trying to be like a thought leader, solo episodes, and then you can test it. I mean, if you're good at sales and you're good at follow up and all that stuff. But yeah, I think one of the most common misconceptions I see is you have to have guests. We haven't had guests in 4 years,
Right.
and our business is doing better than it's ever been. Right.
Well,
So
what is your structure for those monologue or solo episodes? Tell me about that.
now we just wing it.
Okay.
So we do, I mean, I do my own custom cold open, and then we just get right into it. What I suggest for people is hook, story, lesson, future pace, call to action.
Nice.
So hook, within the first 30 seconds, we got to hook someone,
Yeah.
or they're gone. They're gone. One of my favorite hooks, I see Emmanuel on a Monday. Hey, buddy, you will never believe what happened to me this weekend. You're
Right.
leaning in. Tell me more. Right.
Yeah.
So in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 ways you can make more money and stop living paycheck to paycheck. Boom. I'm in. I want to know.
Yep.
So that's the hook. Story is usually an experience or example of life before the solution. So depending on how long you want to do it, 1 to 5 minutes. The lesson is, what is the thing that we're going to teach here? What are we talking about today? So that's the lesson, and that could be 5 things, however many. Future pace is a story or example of life after the solution.
Right.
And then call to action is, hey, if you found today's episode valuable and you want more of whatever, here's where you go. Could be a PDF, could be a Facebook group, could be an email list, could be a coaching session, whatever it is. That's usually how I suggest people do the solos. Don't have a script, just have bullet points. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And then from there, you can kind of go off and see what works for you. But that's a simple framework to get started, at least.
I love it. No, that's great. Yeah, I saw some trends where it is people are looking for more monologues, and they're looking for longer episodes also. They're looking for the hour-long episode.
Yeah, and YouTube rewards that.
Yeah.
Right? The longer the episode, the more ads they can throw in. So that's a piece of it. And the thing that I always suggest, and most people don't do this yet, yes, you can look at your host. So maybe you host with Libsyn or Buzzsprout or whatever. Yes, look at your data there. But you also have to look at the data on Apple. It's Apple Podcasts for creators now, and then Spotify for creators, because they're going to show you your retention rate.
Right.
If your episodes are only getting 10% retention, maybe your audio isn't good, or it takes too long to get into it, or whatever it is. If you're getting 70, 80, 90% retention, you have a very sticky audience. It's just important to know that. But to your point, if you're doing an hour and a half episodes, you're getting 10% retention, something needs to shift potentially.
Yeah. Understood. Well, what is next for you at Next Level? That's what I got to know.
This is always a hard question, because it's boring. It's the same. So we're just going to do exactly what we're doing today, but we're going to get a little bit better forever. I mean, that's really the ultimate goal. We're very simple. We just do the fundamentals. But if I can get a little bit better every day for the next 10 years, like I have the previous 10 years, I mean, we're obviously going to grow and be more successful and more impactful. So yeah, nothing sexy, nothing shiny, just the same boring fundamentals for the next decade, and then we'll reevaluate where we are, and we'll probably do the same thing again for the next decade.
All right. Well, the fundamentals never go out of fashion.
That's right.
News, right.
That's right. They're hard to sell, though. Nobody really wants the fundamentals. They want the sexy stuff, but it is what it is.
There's a great saying that says everybody wants to shoot the bow, but no one wants to pull the string.
Ooh, I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So
nice.
Dallas tone for you.
I appreciate
it. Kevin, I knew that I was going to enjoy this conversation. It went by way too fast. And I really appreciate you spending time here with me on this 200th episode. And if people are interested in getting in touch with you and learning more about podcasting or the fundamentals, how do they do that?
So I have a podcast called Podcast Growth University. I do an episode every week on all the things I've learned from my 3,400 plus episodes. I would say that is the best place to go. It's free. I always try to make them like 20 minutes. That's always the goal. So yeah, I would say that's probably the best place. And thank you so much for having me for episode 200. I appreciate it very much.
All right, Kevin. Well, I'm going to let you get on the rest of your day, and thanks again for your time.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers. Well, what an exciting view of podcasting and being focused on telling good, authentic stories and having a framework for storytelling. I'm making a commitment in these next 200 episodes to do at least a third of them as solos, and I'll try Kevin's structure there for a few of those as well. I appreciate you listening today. I hope that you take some time to find an AI tool and test that, find a way to buy some of your time back through technology, and then use that time to continue to upskill or to get outside in nature, or spend it with your friends and family, or take your friends and family outside in nature. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.